वेलकम टू टुडेज वैल्यू टॉक। आज की जो वैल्यू टॉक है वो बहुत ही दिल के काफी करीब है बिकॉज it touches a lot of those points which almost every one of us somewhere has, that becoming an entrepreneur. And not only that, first of all, it is not only about the journey of entrepreneurship, it is also about, dreaming it big and realizing the dream and going through the full circle. Army, then job in corporate sector, and then going in for entrepreneurship. So, Rahul, are you there? So, our today's guest is Captain Rahul Roy, armor heavy Rahul Roy. Armor heavy means cannot be penetrated, and Rahul is he displays exactly the attitude what the name is, armor heavy. Rahul, I'll just give a brief introduction before we proceed, and then we will start our little conversation today. And so, first of all, welcome on the show. And for all those who don't know Rahul, Rahul is an armored officer, ex-armored officer, and he's an alumnus of Officers Training Academy, Chennai, and MDI Gurgaon. He has served in Armored Corps, and in 2006, he switched and joined HCL's corporate marketing team. After that, he has been in Fortune 500 companies in the marketing role, including Accenture. He's a fashion enthusiast and he understands the dynamics that go into building successful brands. And Rahul is currently full time dedicated in realizing his vision of making his brand Armor Heavy India's number one performance wear brand. And he is almost there. In fact, I have been tracking Rahul for since the time because I found the name very interesting when I came across this brand. And in fact, today I was traveling and I just barely managed to reach in time for this talk. I am presently in Ambala. Otherwise, I would have been wearing armor heavy today. So my loyalty and appreciation to the brand. So Rahul, welcome to the show.
Thank you,
And
sir.
anything which I have not covered, and something which before we proceed formally, I am using a virtual background because I am not organized today the way I should have been. So pardon if people are not able to see it properly or something. So Rahul, anything you want to say before we proceed ahead?
I think been very kind, sir. You've covered most of it. Thanks a lot, and appreciate you giving me time. And everybody who is there to listen to whatever I have to say. I'm not very sure whether it will be valuable or not, but nevertheless, I'll be pretty honest of the journey.
Rahul, there is a reason for our request for you to be here today. It's not only because you represent somebody who has done it all, kind of a thing. You have been in the army, you have been in short service commission, then you left, and you joined corporate. So you did some successful tenures in corporate. So first of all, that switch from army to corporate in itself, that transition itself is an exercise. And then from there also you had the courage to go and work towards your vision of being an entrepreneur. I know you wanted to be an entrepreneur right from the beginning. So yeah, you are somebody who has been in the army, who then he switched over to the corporate sector, and then he has started his own venture. All three things are, though they are related in many ways, but they are very different also. So that is why when I was writing in the group, in the Value Talk groups, I was kind of telling everyone that everyone, whether you want to start your business or you want to be in the job, brand making is something which is very important. And Rahul is the expert in brand making. Then now that brand can be an individual and brand can be a company, but whether you are in a job or you are in a business, it is very important to make a brand. So before I ask you about armor heavy, what is this CVO, Chief Vision Officer, and where's the line between Chief Vision Officer, Chief Executive Officer, Chief Finance Officer, Chief Marketing Officer, or are there different people for all these roles, or is it one Rahul Rai combined into all these?
The one good part about being an entrepreneur is that you can give a designation to yourself. You can be your own general. So I just gave a Not just, I think there was a lot of thought given to how I need to represent myself first, and then get in like-minded people to join the vision. I think the prime goal, what we've learned in the military also, is the goal or the laksh. Maybe I'm sounding very cliched, but this is how very simply I can draw out parallels. And most of us today, I think, would be ex-military or serving military personnel. So it's very, very important that you have that goal fixed, and that goal is loved and cherished to an extent that you give it all, right? So in the military, like, if certain objectives are given to you, you defend the objective with your life. And similarly, giving the designation of a chief vision officer or the chief vision holder is that here is a person who has coined, is in the journey of achieving that vision, because that vision cannot be put on paper. It's abstract, however it's very lofty. It's kind of a dream which is sketchy but very, very true, that I have only dreamt and nobody else. So calling myself the chief vision officer is somebody who holds the vision and can narrate the vision the way he sees it to people who may share or who may want to join in that journey of achieving that vision of being the next Nike from India, for that matter, being the most aspirational brand ever built in the fashion industry. So that's why the chief vision officer.
Very well said, Rahul. And I don't remember who said it, but somebody said if you can perceive it, you can achieve it. If you can visualize it, you can achieve it. And vision is one of the most important things. In fact, somewhere I read about Warren Buffett also, and he says that all I do is that I sit in my office along with his partner. They just keep reading newspaper and keep seeing what is happening. They and just make vision. And till the time you don't have a vision, you can't realize it.
Absolutely.
So I like the designation, and it is very, very inspiring. And also, I take this lesson for everyone that if you have an objective, that is what our teaching has been. If you have an objective, there's no other choice but to win it over, to achieve it. So, gentlemen, anybody who's out of our audience who is planning to take up a job, make a transition to the corporate sector, or turn into a entrepreneur, you cannot fail because failure is not an option. Okay, that option doesn't exist. So always keep this in mind. Failure is not an option. So you will do well. Don't worry. Know this. All kind of guidance, all kind of thing, everything is available in this world. You have to ask for it. Okay. So Rahul, as I said, you have come a full circle. I mean, you have been in army, you have been in the corporate sector, and you have your own business, and that too at a successful one and a brand which is well known now. So first, how did the army experience help you in getting a job? And then how did, it help you in realizing your dream of becoming an entrepreneur? I know you have been asked this question many times, but you see, it's a question which should be repeated a number of times because the answer is for everyone to hear and learn from it.
Absolutely, sir. And it's a pretty valid question too. I was hearing, I'll throw a very big name, and there a lot of people must be seeing him as a role model also. Steve Jobs once said that you cannot connect the dots in the future. You can only connect the dots in the past. And that holds true for most of us. Now, what typically it means is that when you are being trained in the military, you get trained for a lot of things, but you don't realize that you've been trained for that unless you start connecting dots. I'll just give an example. When I switched gears from military and my first day in corporate as a marketing communications manager in HCL, first day was, of course, learning. First month, I was just grappling and learning things, but soon I realized that the entire engine of marketing is basically nothing but reconnaissance of the market. I've been a recce troop leader, and anybody who's from armored corps and infantry, recce is so very critical before you launch yourselves. So reconnaissance was very critical in our ITBB operations, etc. We normally used to, the CO used to say that the reconnaissance charts, etc., say this. So when I compared it And the first thing when we were building a attack plan in the corporate was reconnaissance of the market, or as they call it, the term market intelligence. So when you connect the dot, actually the first instance in the attack plan, and in the corporate also a lot of military jargon is used. In the corporate attack plan, so to say, the first thing is reconnaissance of your competitors, of your market. Study the lay of the land, study the competition, emerging competition, so on and so forth. So that was one. The second thing was basically when we say launching an offensive, when you know things and you basically have all the weapons, etc., whether it's armor heavy, whether it's mech heavy in a combat team kind of a scenario, you actually fixate those as per the adversary, whosoever is in front of you. And that's exactly what you do in the attack plan in the corporate also. So when you connect the dots, what I'm trying to say is you are taught a lot of things. It's just that the tools are different, the terminologies are different, and anybody who's coming from the military, for that matter brand also, when I was doing the adjutant, I realized that I am the custodian of the brand standards, so to say, because the crest was the brand, and how to use that crest in different occasions, in different communications, in front of the men, in front of senior echelons, etc., was your responsibility, and it got replaced with the brand which was HCL at that point in time. So when you connect the dots, you have played the role of a marketing person. There is a PRO in the military, there is a PRO in the corporate, which is corporate communications basically, or PR, press relations that you call it, or public relations. So when you go to the past and see, you actually have done a lot. Does take time for you to realize when you're in the corporate, but sooner or later the military does prep you in terms of event management. We all as young officers have been in the mess, and we've taken charge of how the mess would look like, the petty cash, etc. So exactly what is happening in the corporate is being taught in the military too, whether it's tactical level or flavors of the mess and throwing parties, etc. Everything the military does teach you. And after 5 years, in my case, when I came out, I think I was pretty well equipped. Certain things that I was not very well equipped, because we had a T-72 tanks, which is not so tech savvy at that point in time. Maybe tech has come in now, but computers was something that I had to teach myself, whether it is the Excel and advanced Excel, putting formulas, etc., is something that the people who were already there knew it. So the finesse for the corporate from an IT standpoint, yes, if you're planning to leave, you must equip yourself with IT to a point where you can compete with the guy who's already sitting there. I mean, that's very, very critical. So it'll typically take you a year or two come to his level or her level, right? So that was a big takeaway, because I was lagging behind. I had the brains, I could craft out strategies, but I couldn't implement it or present it because my IT capability was not at par with the guys who were already there. So that is, but to answer your question, yes, the military does prepare you, and it prepares you well. You have to just go in a room, think that what all I have learned, what all the corporate is wanting, and just connect the dots.
Absolutely, Rahul. I can't agree more with you. The corporate has taken, in fact, the entire corporate sector has taken so many things from the services. When I go in my society and see how it has been, how the greenery has been laid out, and all this, that, etc., everything, I feel that it has been taken from the cantonment model, etc. So, and many other things as well. Only the shape, size, and nature of the goal are different. So, the takeaway from what Rahul said just now is that you have everything. Only thing is that you need to upskill yourself for the, you should have the same tools, same weapons, so that you can fight alongside the people who are already there in the corporate sector. So, and I have been advocating that you do whatever you do, brush up your Excel and Microsoft Office skills. At least that is the basic which is required. So actually, Rahul, there are so many questions which I have listed for you, and this talk will run short. Actually, the time will run short. So I have, in front of me list of questions which I want to ask you. So how was so you worked in army, then you were in corporate, and then you started your business.
Correct, sir.
The learnings must have been different from both the things. What was those major difference?
I think it's a graduation. And whenever you are switching gears, you have to come back to neutral. and that's a fact of life. The military for 5 years, of course, I was third generation in the army, so there was a lot of military that I had to take out, and there was a lot of military that I had to keep within me. So that's a challenge because you've seen your dad and your grandfather, everybody wearing the uniform, and I won't say that you grow up in a very protected environment, but at the same time, it is, yeah, protected is the wrong word. It is a very regimented kind of environment. However, the corporate is not regimented because every company is basically a reflection of who the owner is. So the values, etc., would be different. People would be different. But however, the regimentation that we are used to, serving, we are used to respect and giving back respect. There is a kind of ethos that we typically, even if somebody is coming from a civil background in the army, 5 years they serve, the army typically molds you to an extent where you get very regimented in your thinking. So when you are moving out, I was very regimented. I used to get offended very fast. Maybe a junior, maybe a senior who is not of that age group, if they pinpoint you or say something that offends you in a way. In the military, you expect it. You are given control of a situation and you are expected to rule that situation. Here, you have to take charge. In the military you are given charge, and in the corporate you have to take charge. That's something that was very difficult. So I mean, my managers, etc., used to mock, you guys in the military are born leaders supposedly, so you should take charge, etc. But when I used to think, I was a captain wearing epaulets, etc., and there was a proper regimented role for me. I couldn't just move out of that role, undersell myself in the military. I was supposed to be a captain with certain roles and responsibilities and not shoot my level up. But in the corporate, sky is the limit in that sense. You could be a junior, but you can actually challenge the CEO and say that, look, you are wrong. And this is the way things need to be done. So you take charge and you take control of the situation in that aspect. Not that there is a discipline issue or something like that, but you can actually challenge if you deem fit. But in the military, we are not supposed to do that. We are supposed to, sir, listen and believe that the senior will be right and challenge him in a very nice fashion, not in offending fashion. So those are the certain things that you need to actually give up sooner or later. You can take your time, but do give it up, because in the corporate you will not be given charge of anything. You'll have to take charge. That's something that is really, really critical for anybody who wants to step in the corporate. Each and every aspect would be of taking charge. Suddenly, it's just like the SSB when you shut up everybody and say that, look, this is the solution I want to give. When the selection committee or the GTO is listening and he wants that leadership quality in you. And in the corporate, you have to do it every day. And it's very, should I say, it's very offensive at times, but there are people who will run over you if you don't take control, because nothing is regimented, it's just open ended. And the guy who wants to make profit, he wants the best guys and the girls that side. It's not age, it's nothing. Is he just wants to make profit, and if you have a good idea, you say it and you implement it. Simple as that.
Absolutely. The takeaway again is that you have to learn and unlearn quite a few things. Okay. So be observant wherever you are, whichever surroundings you are. Observe for some time, then take charge. Okay.
Yeah.
You have it in you. Just learn the things and then get going. So, Rahul, you have been in HCL and then Accenture also, and likewise in many such companies. Now, they're very different, from the business you are in. I mean, at least the product wise. Though the nature of building a brand and all, there is a similarity, but otherwise, the nature wise, it's quite different. How did you decide to go in for clothing brand?
So I thought that I was very creative from the very beginning. 10th standard, 11th, I thought that I was great shakes. I thought that knew marketing and the complete engine of marketing. People around me also, should I say, misguided me. Maybe my mother saying that you are very creative. Maybe my sister who said, yeah, Rahul has some very good, flavorful ideas, etc. So I think as a, you're very impressionable when you are young. So those, that confidence in your own blood, basically, I think I started drifting that ways of being very creative, of sketching very well and drawing very well. I used to draw really, I could see you and draw your sketch. So I think people around me said that, yeah, you are very creative and all. And I took that very seriously and I drifted that way. I read a lot about Kotler, Keller. Read lot about brands. And in particular, the revolutions from the swastika, or it could be how an insignia is basically made, and how a 16-year-old can give his life just on that insignia, and how psychotic it looks, whether it's the Russian Revolution, or maybe the Bavarian, for that matter, the American flag. Those insignias were coined and made with a lot of thought, and people rallied around these insignias, whether it's our own national flag. I mean, so pretty to look at, and somebody can give their life for that insignia, right? So that thought is basically baked into a brand, whether it's a swoosh of Nike or Adidas or Puma. These brands have become cult brands, but unfortunately in India there are no aspirational brands. There are only two aspirational brands. One is Mahindra and the other is the Bullet, which is actually truly aspirational if you think. Otherwise, there is no clothing brand which is aspirational. All the aspiration sits in Europe. There is no what do you call automotive brand or any kind of other industries. There is no aspiration. Like DuPont is there, aspirational. Mitsubishi is there, very aspirational. Toyota. So every country has that aspiration, but in India we are more like very sober kind of a mindset we have, because maybe in the colonial control for so long, almost 500 years. So the kind of mindset that we have is, हाँ हम लोग काम करेंगे, कुछ मिल गया है, बहुत अच्छा काम करेंगे, और that's about it. We don't dress well. That dressing well thing has just come to being just 2 decades back, maybe. Even in the military, when somebody had a fancy car, youngster, or maybe a guy is very well dressed from a uniform side, you look at it, why is he not averagely dressed? Why is he so well dressed? So that kind of a very average mindset we guys have. However, the Yanks or the Americans have that flamboyance around them. That's why their brands like McDonald's is aspirational. It's a 50 rupee burger, but yet it's aspirational if you're holding and having it. Oh, he's just gone to McDonald's and he has a burger. So, or that matter, let's go to Domino's. So that cool quotient, that aspirational quotient has been baked by the Yanks because they are very good marketing people. They've sold their flag in such a way that we Indians are wearing the stars and stripes so much in our fashion. It's nothing fashionable for us, but we
Right.
wear
Absolutely.
NY, New York, we wear it really big on our foreheads. And you go to the metropolitan cities, everybody is wearing it. However, our own colors, our own brands have not been able to penetrate that aspirational quotient at all. So that's where I want to, when I was looking for that brand, maybe I'm skipping the question, but since I'm very passionate about this, that when I was looking for a brand, I said stealth is taken. My father was called Atom in NDA because he was very fast, etc. And sprints, Atom was taken, Atom X was taken, Atom Sports was taken, and all these good words, strong sounding words were taken. So I said, let me go to the military archives, look for a good word. So armor heavy was basically that CT level and CG level kind of a game. And I said that armor heavy looks pretty. Let me go to GoDaddy and see whether it's taken or not. And it wasn't taken. .com, armorheavy.com was not taken, and everybody who's there, you can just go to armorheavy.com and see the website. Armorheavy.in was not taken. It's very important that when you're choosing a brand, you need to choose a brand which is available on the digital domain, because digital domain is very, very saturated these days. So that's the first thing that you need to do, whether I like this brand, whether it's available digitally or not, and then you go for the trademarking, etc. So that's how I coined it. I said that there's a lot of military flavor into armor heavy. The ANH looks like a shield which builds a story of protection and apparel which will protect me. I'll feel comfortable in it. And there were a lot of other aspects that I liked about the name armor heavy. And there were a lot of people who said, look, it has a overtone of Under Armour. I said, you want to wear Under Armour, you wear it under your clothing. That's how it started off. But Armor Heavy is also one of the brands, just like a Woodland and a Timberland, or for that matter, a PayU and a PayPal and BlackBerry and Burberry. There are a lot of Slazenger and Puma and Shiv Naresh. There are so many brands that are similar sounding, or their logos typically are very same in nature. But the point was that I never thought of copying anything. It was just very relevant kind of a word armor heavy, seeing the background that I was in. And I selected armor heavy because there was an entire story that was built in my mind. And I was so passionate that, yes, armor heavy can be the next aspirational brand from India. And that's how it started, actually.
Oh, very nice, Rahul. In fact, that was my first question, but you have already answered it. And I personally like the name so much, Armor Heavy. And also, I like your storytelling ways, and which is so convincing. It shows your passion, the story of how the name was there, and the your creativeness is also reflected by the way the logo has been designed. It's pretty evident. Anyone who looks at it, especially a 4G, it is very very evident. And I also want to compliment. I in fact want to inform you that today when I was coming to Ambala, and when I came by a cab, and the cab dropped me at the Ambala Can railway station, and there were two youngsters. They were wearing armor.
Oh,
I mean,
really?
it was. I was very happy to see that today I am going to talk to Rahul, and these are two youngsters who are wearing armor heavy. So I think it has already caught up with the youngsters, at least in a big way. It's coming up in a big way, and all because of your efforts.
Thanks, sir.
So before I go to the next question, this question has come to my mind just now. A lot of entrepreneurs, including me, I know it. This is my weakness. They are penny wise and pound foolish. I want to do everything myself. I want to save the last dime. You know, whether it is the marketing, digital marketing, content creation, everything, whatever you say, and other things also, which leaves very little room for working towards your vision. So, what do you have to say about that? And how did you manage that? So, what can be outsourced and what you need to do yourself?
I'll be very, very serious when I say this, and this I actually believe. I've seen a lot of videos on a lot of corporate gurus who are successful, who built companies. They keep saying that you need to have better people in the company than you, employ better people, throw peanuts and you'll get monkeys, and I don't know how many things. But here is what I feel when I was developing. This is first hand experience that I'm sharing with you. There is no shortcut when you don't have deep pockets. Even if you have deep pockets, don't start wasting money. There are things that you need to do yourself when you're starting up. So forget that somebody has money. I'll just talk about myself. I didn't have money. And fashion is one of the most expensive businesses to start. It requires 30 to 40 lakh, and one collection is 30 to 40 lakh. And then the return rate of that is almost 6 months. So your 40 lakh will get returned after 6 months when you actually market and you sell the invent. Then also after 6 months, if you're not performing well in your first collection and you are learning, like my first collection, I won't say it was a failure, but there was some manufacturing issues. Like typically they creep up in India because we are not very passionate about what we build. A German, when he's writing made in Germany, he will put his heart and soul in that. So our labor is not very sensitive about these things. They'll just make a cheap thing, a very shabby thing, and just give it to you, right? So let's not digress. All I'm trying to say is that when you're starting up, and a lot of 4Gs, I'm very sure you don't have deep pockets. So you have to be very, very calculative of how well you want to build that business, till when you will take that business yourself and not risk anybody else into that business. And in when you're in that journey of doing it yourself, you will learn a lot of things. So don't outsource it to anybody, or try to hire anybody. And see, I always tell people when somebody asks me this question, that Armor Heavy is a company which is asset light. I've kept my company very, very asset light. However, we are Armor Heavy. When I say asset light, it's like we have limited manpower. We've outsourced certain things which are strategic to people who know the job, like the digital agency is there, like my partner for pan India distribution is delivery.com. There are gateways. So it's a cloud based kind of a business. Manufacturing, I have taken, rented out a manufacturing small unit. However, to sustain that unit, you require 3,000 orders per month, which we manage. And you get break even. Anything over 3,000 gives you profit. Anything under 3,000 units will make you bleed. So you have to be very, very calculative. And sir, to answer your question, do it yourself. and काम करना आसान है, करवाना और मुश्किल है. So you don't want any friction when you are developing a company. Do it yourself, equip yourself. If you cannot do certain things, equip yourself. आज तक मैं I was just in the morning doing the barcoding also. जो barcode sticker होता है, I was making that. GS1 India में you go and the
Wow.
barcodes etc. for each this thing. That is the kind of control that I still have in the company. So even the barcoding is not outsourced because I
Great.
want to actually not burn the investor money. We've been invested. Certain people have been very kind to invest in Arma Heavy, but I don't want to burn them कि एक clerk रख लिया for just printing, labeling, badging वगैरह के लिए. I do things from the marketing experience that I have and the drawing experience. I designed my badge. I did not go to an ad agency and all that you see, the apparel that I'm wearing, it's just my thought because I don't want to adulterate that thought. One of the upsets of outsourcing too many things is you adulterate that. So in the founding years, keep control of the strategic functions to you. Don't outsource the strategic functions. If you don't have the ability to manage, then you learn and keep those strategic functions to yourself. Yes, if you make money and all, like minded people will get interested and then join that journey. But the people who are joining need to be very, very good, better than you, and not ordinary people. Then only they'll add value. Otherwise, you will be just telling people what to do and they'll fail and you'll get upset and things like that. So, to answer your question, do it yourself. There are a lot of books also that tell you how to do things yourself, but there is no shortcut to it. You have to get your hands, fold your sleeves, get inside, do the gardening yourself, do the watering yourself, and nurture your vision. There are no shortcut. Nobody is going to join you in your vision. People will only show interest when you've actually grown. There are about 73 people. Maybe they've known about Armor Heavy from somewhere. You also sold the talk. That's why getting 73 people, so kudos to you, is not easy in this day and age. People don't have the time to spend half an hour for a session, right? So do it yourself. I mean, my this thing take is forget of whatever people are saying. It's your vision, it's your journey. Equip yourself, do it. Once you have good this thing funds and all, then you outsource it. That's fine.
Great. So before I proceed further, let me just give us small information, gentlemen. We have started a Google group. You can interact on mail also. It is easier for some people. It was based on the feedback we received from the members. They wanted the email group so that it's easier on the laptop, etc. And also they wanted to write, discuss various things. So all those who have not joined, please do join. Also join the Telegram group. The links are there in the chat box, and there are Value Talks YouTube group and Career Coach YouTube group. Please do join them also for those who are interested in joining. Okay. So, Rahul, how did you manage the courage and the money? Or are they interrelated?
Managing money is the most difficult, sir. Courage you can find because courage is inside you. It's all a matter of maybe that escape velocity, and that escape velocity will, in an entrepreneur, if you're an entrepreneur, some point in your life you will definitely start. You will fail, you'll start again, you will fail, you'll start again. But once you are an entrepreneur, God forbid, and God's blessings to me, I just cannot go into a role where I get ready and get into my car and go to an office with a biometric system and then get out 5 o'clock. It's not going to happen for me. It should not happen with God's blessings. So it's something that the courage, I said that I'm 45 and it's getting rather late in my life to realize my dreams. I had no house loan and all. With God's blessings, everything, there was no liability per se. But when I discussed with my wife, she said that you'll be a fool to risk everything because I was getting a decent salary. I was a vice president marketing in my last stint, getting paid well, and to switch was not easy. So what I did was, while working, I developed the website and I put some money, family and friends. They showed confidence, and we did a website. And the first order that I got was from Bangalore. And I was surprised and thrilled that I ran to my wife. I said that, look, somebody's actually bought something from Armor Heavy. So she's also like viewing and all. There was some Reddy who bought our t-shirt sitting out of Bangalore. That's the first order that I remember. And then, of course, orders came in. and there were about like 100 odd orders in the first month. And I was like, dude, I can actually do something with this. And this was all organic. I didn't even spend any marketing dollars into Facebook and all. It was just organic. So 100 orders gave me a lot of confidence. Within 3 months time, I said, all right, lost interest in whatever employment I was in. I said, to hell with it. Let me start this full fledged. I gave numerous pitches, failed everywhere. And one good Samaritan told me that, look, yeah, you are going and you are very passionate, the way you narrate your story, etc. You want to create aspirational brand, but these things don't work in India. At least a lot of people are putting their money in technology. So creating a brand and all, वो Bollywood gang or sports people का game है. You leave it. You will not be able to survive even 6 months. So I felt very offended. I said, this is what I like. I don't like technology. However, I spent 18 years in technology, but I don't like it. And this is something what I like. So I said, to hell with it. Let me just dream whatever I've dreamt and let me just realize it. And I started working on it slowly and slowly. After 100 pitches, I went to Mumbai Angels, and there was a guy in Mumbai Angels who heard me. And I still remember that session. There were just about 25 people, and then after 15 minutes, there were 35 people, and then 45 people. And when I finished the session, there's this gentleman called Ramesh. He gave me a call and he said that, I like whatever you are doing. I want to invest. And he gave me 30 lakh. And it is from there everything started. When I got this first 30 lakh kitty, I was so confident I was out of this world, as if I've got 30 crores. And today, the typical worth of the company, the first round that we did was about 9 crores valuation of the company.
Wow.
So from nothing, in 1.5 year, you've got a company to a 9 crore valuation.
Wow.
And you look back and you start connecting the dots again, just like Steve Jobs said. And I said that I was lucky, very lucky, to be pitching in Mumbai Angels, and then suddenly Mumbai Angels saying that, all right, there's a cap of 50 lakh, but you've not breached it, so we are not giving you any money. But this guy alone gave me so much money, right? So why I'm narrating the story is that if you are passionate about something and if you dearly feel that you can do or dent the market with whatever you have in you, you just think about that dent then. Forget anything else. Failures you will get. But if you are passionate about something, go for it. Take baby steps, keep doing it, keep walking. If you are not in the race, then you are somewhere in the audience. So you have to be in the race. Keep running the race. It's a marathon. It's not first kilometer, second kilometer, third kilometer. Even the last guy will be rewarded with a garland. So it's a marathon. So be in the race, not in the audience. I was there in the race. I kept doing small collections, kept earning the trust of an investor in a fashion market which is in India. In America, you've got people who were nobodies. Like Levi's was a tailor. He was making robust clothing for the gold miners, whether it's Adidas or Rudolf Dassler and Adi Dassler and all this gang. For that matter, Phil Knight. These guys were nobodies, but they were vision holders. That's why the title that I so cherish is, you are a vision holder. You have dreamt of something, and you walk one life. Just walk on it, and hold and behold, you will find people who will bestow their trust on you, and like Ramesh did. And then, of course, we've got 12 investors. For that matter, we've got an investor who is Olympian, a medalist. I can't disclose the name, but that kind of caliber people have bestowed their trust. Whether I am meeting the expectations or not, time will tell. But denting that kind of a caliber is also not easy. So if you happen to go to armorheavy.com, you can see that maybe we don't look very deep pocketed, very rich, but whatever we are doing in our own circle, we have our merit, and the product is pretty good if you happen to buy it.
Yeah,
And I
I
would
love it.
encourage, yeah.
Okay, then everybody who's attending today, for the achievement of, you know, getting to 9 crores, this thing in 1.5 years, valuation 9 crores is not a small feat. And for that, we really salute you. I request everyone to raise hands in appreciation of his effort, whatever he's doing, his success, his achievements. And that's the least we can do. It's an inspiration, and we really look forward to more Captain Rahul Roy's, from the uniform fraternity. And more power to you, Rahul. And I also urge everyone. I have no interest. I have gone for this brand. As I said, I would have been wearing had I not been in Ambala today. So try out. It's an aspirational brand. We buy so many things, American and English, etc. Try out this brand. I'm telling you, it is amazing. And give your genuine feedback to Rahul about the brand. Anything, any improvement, any suggestions, whatever. I'm sure he would be more than happy to get this feedback. Rahul, I have so many questions, but I don't have the time. But one question which I would definitely like to ask you is: so if you were to start today, would you do it any differently? What is your advice to the wannabe entrepreneurs?
I think whatever I have done is a mix of capability within me, in the environment, the uniform forces. A lot of the stuff that Armor Heavy is doing is for the regiments, is for the units. We must be doing about 5,000 quantities per month for the military alone. So the military, and my heartfelt thanks to everybody on the call, and the extended family fraternity, who I keep getting calls, sir, we want this for the unit, and I feel so good about it that the military has given me, I think, everything from the initial mentoring time to now. They've supported knowingly, unknowingly, the brand and made it what it is today. So thanks a lot with the bottom of my heart. The advice or doing something differently, I don't think so. I think it's a journey. It needs to be flavored. You spoil a dish, you remake the dish, and at the end of maybe the 10th episode, you'll make the dish well. And it's a journey. You can't bypass it. You can't just make a dish the very first time you make a cake. Of course, it'll flatten out. And the 10th cake definitely will rise up. So it's like that. And just don't bother. Nobody is perfect. You don't have to develop a perfect website. You don't have to run perfectly. You will fall. There will be a lot of failure. So whenever you go to armorheavy.com, there will be a lot of follies. I don't want to make something very, very perfect. Like in the forge, there is then it's life and death. And here also it's life and death. I agree. But at the same time, look, just walk. Don't strive for too much of perfection, because too much of perfection, so many people, agency is there, and your extended ecosystem of buying clothing, and that button needs to have armor heavy, it's not properly written, things like that. Things will falter. It's one life. Just enjoy the journey. And whatever you see in front of you has been developed, iterated, and it has reached whatever, wherever it is today. But yes, it has a lot of scope for improvement. Everything has. Even a BMW engine will have a scope for improvement, right? That doesn't mean that you don't launch it. You've decided it, just launch it. Just go headlong. Don't stop yourself. Log kya bolenge, kya hoga? Forget about it. If you love it, just go in that journey.
Very right, Rahul, and very, very candid, very apt advice to everyone. And gentlemen, even if you're not planning to start your own venture, you are planning to make a transition to corporate sector. What actually the gist is that you don't have to be perfect. Don't try to be perfect. Don't try to do every damn course which comes your way. You upskill yourself definitely, but and take action. Just take action. Action will be rewarded. Okay, and along the journey, keep improving. So, Rahul, I'll not take much time now.
Gotta focus on yourself, on your faith, on your dreams, on your mind, on your health, yeah. You gotta work, never tell, keep your head down.